thank you so much to all our followers. Thank you again for coming to the Unity channel. Today we will be having a chat with two professors, Dr. Vidal Adadevoh and Dr. Anthonia Adadevoh. You'll be wondering, why do they have the last name, the same last name? Is because it's Mr. and Mrs. But they all academicians. So for the purpose of this interview, I'll refer to her as a Dr. Anthonia and to him as Dr. Vidal, so that I don't keep on saying Dr. Adadevoh. You'll be like, which one am I talking about? So thank you so much for being here today, Dr. Vidal and Dr. Anthonia. If you don't mind, I'll start with Dr. Anthonia. Would you mind giving us and our viewers a little introduction or a curriculum vitae of yourself, so we get to know you?
Okay, hello everyone. This is such a privilege. I'm Anthonia Adadevoh, and my first degree in terms of academics was English and Fine Arts. Then I did a master's in English and a master's in Fine Arts, creative writing. And then I have a doctorate in humanities. So I have taught English for many years, English, creative writing, literature, and African literature, American literature, British literature. And of course, you know, with that you need the history. But also now I do administrative work, so which has to do with accreditation in higher education. So I've enjoyed the journey.
Okay, thank you so much. Dr. Vidal, would you mind introducing yourself to us?
Oh yes, I'm Dr. Vidal Adadevoh, and I've been in academia for, well, about a couple of decades now.
Yes.
And my area is, I have two areas, business administration, but my PhD is in computer science. And my current role is Dean of Online Education. What I've done is to build the online program at my current institution from scratch. And the online program has grown to the point that we have about 7 100% online majors now. And also I've been also taking care of getting in the learning management systems, and then also getting a replacement to the original one that we have. So the journey has been very, very exciting. I did not set out to be in education. I just happened to come to education.
Wow.
Yeah, because I was doing a PhD because the company I was working for was going to pay for it. It was free. So I started doing it. So at one time, one of my colleagues, a professor that worked for him, just worked out on him. He needed somebody. So just told me, said, come and teach part-time for me. I said, no, I don't want to teach. But finally convinced me. I taught part-time, and I fell in love with teaching. Oh, wow. So I've been in teaching since then.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much, you know. So thank you for these fine academicians who are visiting with us today. So what we want to talk to you all today is really about, you know, the higher education, you know, what should prospects be expecting, how can they succeed in academia, you know, any advice, you know, like you said, you know, you had corporate experience, then you have academia experience, any advice you can give, and that's why we are here today, okay? So I will start with Dr. Adadevoh or Dr. Anthonia. So you say one of your role is in the OIR, how do you find that?
Office of Research, Institutional Research and Effectiveness.
Okay.
OIRE.
Okay. So for international students, because we are trying to gear a little more towards international students, yes, what does that office play as far as, you know, attracting or catering to international students?
So when we're looking at international students, one of the units is in my area is advising of freshman and sophomore students. So definitely when they first come into the institution, we work with them. But on the international part, we've been trying to really attract more international students, and we have a couple of 3 right now. One is also from Nigeria, trying to let them understand which are the best majors for them that could really serve them here in the United States and also wherever they may be from. So, but right now we're also looking at if we can get more international students to go to school online from their country, from their various countries. One, the school fees will be less, and they will get that degree from whatever country, you know, if it's a United States degree. We are hoping they can opt to do it for 2 years online and then maybe come be resident in the last 2 years. However, you know, just looking at how that works. Now, we know we are now in a global society.
Yes, we are.
So it's very important that these students and our students here in the United States too are familiar with the global needs. So the students internationally, Africa, Asia, that they also are familiar with the global needs at this time.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Anthonia. Dr. Vidal, you are the Dean of Online Education, Continuing Education, and Workforce Development. So how have you seen the university that you work for or you work at? Is it a university of a 4-year college? You know,
It's a 4-year college.
4-year college, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So how have you seen it evolve and its approach into, you know, attract international students, especially in your area, and because now, you know, the telecommunication, IT department, cybersecurity is in such a high demand. You know, like Dr. Anthonia was saying earlier, you know, an online education which you chair will be an opportunity for people not to travel but still get an American degree. So how are you guys doing in your area to attract those students?
Oh, that's a good question. Let me start with the, before I took on this position here over at my current institution, I also worked before for another institution that was mostly online. Actually, 80% of their students were online students, about 20% on ground. When I started working from them from adjunct, and when I was going to leave to come work full time for my current institution, I had the position of regional dean, and I was responsible for both campus and also off-campus students. Among the off-campus students were the international students. Okay, and we had a very robust program for them because we had a lot of students that don't step to the United States but do get degree from the university. And one other thing I saw is that the students tend to be very diligent, very serious, and
that means they're already adult student. It's not like you know, first time out of college. They already
most of them are people that are working, they have jobs, and so they are more disciplined. Okay, because to be successful online, no matter what your age, you have to be disciplined. You have to be purposeful, because you don't have anybody to be telling you it's time for you to do your work, it's time for you to go to class. So you have to be the one to be self-motivated. Of course, we do also have select faculty that we select for online, because you must have that kind of caring attitude to want to encourage students that are alone in cyberspace to be able to let them feel that they're part of a community. So, and also we also institute initiatives that will make students interact with each other, so that it's not only during class they interact, they can have a sense of community. And one thing that we try to share with international students is that, well, they can also come here to come and finish, okay, if they so choose. In some schools, international, some online schools that international students come to, if you're taking classes online, some schools will require you to come and finish your last year over here, out of the 4 years last year. But many schools say no, you can do everything online. So what is very important is that the motivation, and you should also have your eyes open for opportunities, because every opportunity that's available for on-campus students are made available by law to online students. So that's by law, you know, by online students. So when opportunities come, for example, let's just say something about like having like an internship in a third country, or becoming like a Rhodes Scholar, or that kind of programs. You can apply, and the fact that you are taking you are taking your courses from Ghana, Nigeria, Ivory Coast, Togo, it doesn't matter, Kenya, it doesn't matter. That take advantage of all the opportunities. Talk to your advisor to make sure every opportunity that comes your way, that you can get it.
Yes, take advantage of them. Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Now, you know, I remember, you know, when I was leaving Africa to come here, I had to sit for the study over there for the English as a proficiency language, because, you know, English was not my primary language. TOEFL. We had to sit for the TOEFL. And when we came here, we had to spend a good, depending on your proficiency, you can have a whole semester or 2 semesters at Alabama Language Institute, you know, before starting your curriculum. So, you know, what advice, Dr. Anthonia, do you have for students who are not from Ghana or Nigeria or Kenya, English-speaking countries, for them to be proficient, you know, and to be able to succeed in the application process?
Okay, I know what they've done in the past. Like you said, they do travel to African-speaking Anglo countries, Anglophone countries in Africa. But in the digital space, there's so much more opportunities now for people to learn, you know, even before they go to a formal place. So they could get different, I know, they have the Duolingo application, and all, and they could do. I know they have some kind of app you can talk to, and it will translate to you. So in that way, you're learning. Because I'm trying to also work on my French. You know, I took French all through elementary and secondary school, but so those are really helping us. And I tell you, a lot of those kind of tutorials are free online, so they can take those opportunities to really help them learn that language. But they may want a formal way,
a structured
way for you to prove that you've been there. Then you can also do that, because some people go to the formal structured way, they take the test and all, they pass, but they're still not proficient in everyday language. So if you want to be really, really successful, these are ways that I think students can do that. Because you even think about American English versus British English.
Two different English.
So even with that, students have to learn when they get here from English-speaking countries what certain words may mean. It may not be the same, you know, in America, what that word meant in the African country, English-speaking country. So those are, but they can do it. Again, they have to be motivated. They have to definitely want to do it. And I think a lot of African students, even Asian, but I've met more with African students, they are willing, you know, whatever it takes that is legal.
No, I think mostly, you know, because everybody has to take it, whether you're English speaking or French speaking.
Yes.
The English speaking country took French, like we said,
Exactly.
and the French speaking took English.
Yes,
so
exactly.
you know they know the vocabulary, the grammar, but the fluency of that, speaking, that's the problem.
Yes, and the nuances of that language, of that particular language. Yes, that's the problem.
All right. Well, are we allowed to talk about any specific institution? Because I was trying to see if you guys are not specifically, your areas are not how do you call it, the admission, international student admission areas. So you know, but you know, do you happen to know at your institution, let's say an international student who want to come there, what process would they have to go through?
Oh, definitely. There's a process, and the first office they need to interact with will be admissions. Admissions can put them through how they can get that visa, everything step by step about what they would need in order to get all the papers that they need to be students in the U.S.
And the requirements once they become, you know, a student to maintain that status.
Definitely, yes, that's explained to them. It's in the package that go out to them. Admissions is usually in most institutions. You have to start from admission. Yes, Office of Admissions.
Okay, so Dr. Vidal, what are some of the most popular majors, you know, in general amongst your student population, and what are the popular major? Let's say an international student want to come here, and they necessarily don't want to stay, they want to go back. Would you advise them to do so that when they go back, they can be not necessarily gainfully employed, but also be able to have a self-business endeavors as they are working and stuff like that? What majors would you advise?
Oh yeah, from the top of my head, I will look at computer and information sciences, and particularly cybersecurity. You know, cybersecurity, because the nature of man is we will always have criminals, and the way that computers are taking over the world and information technology is taking over the world, increasing number of our data will be online, and you will need every organization, either public or private organization, even non-profits. We have to have some kind of security system and somebody to be manning it, to be able to, because you cannot just buy some software to protect you and forget it, because the people, the hackers and also the bad actors, they are working on new ways, and so you have to be on your toes too. So the skills you have today as a cybersecurity person will be archaic in maybe a few months. So you have to be continuously on top of it. So the fact that you have a degree, just don't go sit down and think you're going to have a job for the rest of your life. If you want to be fair to your employer, to be good, you have to continue to upgrade yourself. Yeah, and there's business administration, which is self-explanatory. Management information systems, which is like a combination of business and also computer science type discipline. Then we have increasingly looking at, we do not offer this major here in over here at this institution where I'm teaching right now, but increasingly, if you look at Africa, you find out the folks in the entertainment industry are doing very, very well, because many years ago, people will, if you told your parents you want to go into acting, you know, they're going to tell you, is there something wrong with you?
Yeah, even sports, you go to place.
But the thing about it that if you can actually, there is good living, decent living to be made in almost every industry. You just have to have some kind of guidance to know what part, you know, to be in, you know. So so that's now. That one other thing came to my mind when we were just talking in the terms about what I want to advise. It was the last question you had before this one. another thing I wanted to advise is that, well, as an online student, you're going to be using e-textbook. And a lot of the e-textbook have some features that make life so easy for you. The books, you can play them. They can be reading chapters to you. Maybe you might be doing something in the house. While you are doing that, maybe in the kitchen, after coming back from work, you can be playing and can be listening to the textbook. You know, you can even select, you want a man's voice, you want a woman's voice to read to you. So those opportunities, you know, it's not always every time that you have the opportunity to sit down, to actually sit down and study. But for those times you do not have opportunity to sit down and study, you can have the textbook reading itself to you.
Yeah.
Yes.
And also it will depend on the major, you know, like if you do mathematics and you know, they can read all the formula to you until you practice it.
You asked the question, if I may come in and say the majors. For Africa, I really think agriculture. It's a major that students should try. I know some students who have come to other universities and they've had that major and they're doing well. Those are the very ones that when they go back, they can really, because everybody has to eat.
Absolutely.
Especially in Africa.
Especially if it's like agro-business. You know, so many countries now are putting accents on agro-business.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And piggybacking on what you just said, I was Valentine just passed, so I was just listening to some news, and they were interviewing this farmer in Latin America, and they were discussing the way they're using the land and stuff. So, but what I got out of that is that flowers are sold across the world in billions of dollars. Billions of flowers. So we have flowers coming from Europe, from Latin America. There's nothing wrong with us selling flowers, because the technology is here to be able to cut it and put it in the refrigerated planes and move it over there.
Actually, we are favored because you know it's tropical. So you don't have to have perennial all year round.
So
flowering
farms. The farming is a really good thing that for us is.
Okay. You know, what are some unique challenges? You know, because you know international students in general, because we all have gone through that, is that you cannot just come and go straight to school like a native student, or if you know, I know Dr. Anthonia said earlier, a good alternative would be to take classes online, so you don't have to be here. But those who are able to come, you cannot just go to school straight without, you know, having means to support yourself. And so people, they head to work stop, you know, go to school, work stop. What kind of obstacles for those who come would you say or advise that they be wary of to navigate without getting themselves in trouble in the United States of America? Dr. Anthonia first.
So one, look at the global issue now. When you look at foreign exchange, especially for Africa, it's just over the roof. A lot of these students, their parents are having to really struggle to be able to pay school fees. So when they get here, one of the things, if they're allowed to work on campus, that's one thing they need to pick up. But I also think there are innovative ways that you could do this. If you know some handiwork, then do it. If you know how to braid hair, braid hair. If you know how to sew, sew. So these are very important skills that some people look down on. But it might be what will really help a student when they come in an environment that they're trying to make money. Because if you're living in a residential place like a dormitory, people there need to have their hair done. And so if if they go out and it costs them $50, well, you can do it for 20, 25. You will get clients. So there are so many various ways, I think, that they can help themselves if they have an open mind to the legitimacy of what they want to do, and not be ashamed of handiwork that they know. That would be I think it would be very helpful to them. But working on campus is number one, because then you don't need the transportation to go anywhere. You don't need to really go too far. You can go to work. We see them now, that happening right now. But also make sure you are within a community.
Of people who came before you.
Yes, who came before you that can advise you so you don't make the same mistakes. You need that community. You can't do it alone. So you need to understand where you are, the culture of where you are, how not to get in trouble when you don't mean to. You know, unintentionally, you can just get in trouble. So those are the things I would really advise.
Okay, thank you so much. Dr. Vidal, anything you want to add?
Oh yes, what I would like to add is that also your professors and advisors are a very good resource. If they, from time to time, professors tend to be very helpful, especially when they know you're from somewhere else. And you should take this opportunity and not be shy that if you need any kind of help, you know, or have a question about something, you go over there and ask them. Okay, there are professors, because I remember when I first came here and I needed some help, and there was a professor that told me that, you know what, you're pretty good in math, why don't you start tutoring math and we'll pay, pay for part of your school fees for you to tutor other students with math. You have things like that. There are some other students that work in the cafeteria and they get to live in the dorm for free and eat for free. So when you have food and shelter, they're good. Yeah, pretty good. So all that burden will not be on your parents. Another thing with faculty is that, well, they may be willing to write letter of recommendation if opportunities for scholarships that you can qualify for as a foreign student, because there are hundreds of thousands of scholarships in the United States. Not all of them are for foreign students. But we have the internet, you have many ways of searching to see where the scholarship that I will qualify for as an international student. And do not wait to get your letter of recommendation in, because most of the students that qualify for scholarships don't get them because they wait the last minute to go get letter of recommendation from professors. And professors are very busy. They will not be around when you want it. So it's best for that when the scholarship opens, go ahead and start reaching out to see who can help you.
Okay. What are the different type of institutions here that you would recommend? Like you have a research institution like UAB. You have HBCUs, you know, that they are historically black, but they tend to look for opportunities outside into, you know, other countries that, you know, the student can relate to their, you know, student base and stuff like that. While you are at different type of institutions, and what would you recommend? Are there some that are more easier to apply to and get into, or are there other things that they can be doing there as research on their own, because these are not people who don't have educational background? You know, some advice that we can give them as to the researches they can do there on certain institutions here before applying and stuff like that?
Yes. So what I would say, right now there's a real push for HBCUs to have partnerships with the African countries.
And so the HBCUs are the historically black
institutions, universities and colleges here in the United States. So if you are able to tap into that, I think that is one good way. However, when you talk about other PWIs, you know, the big research universities, again, it depends on what you want to do. The kind of program or major that you want. that you have to do your research. You can't sit and, now you can just go online and do all this research and then decide what it is you want to do. However, I'm looking at these partnerships. Many schools are drawing this up. Actually, there are other schools all over trying now to attract more international students with no school fees. They just work on campus.
Oh, wow.
So that's something people can look into. Look at your Facebook, TikTok, or they are everywhere advertising.
Okay.
So that's one thing. Again, it really depends on the student and what the student wants to do. But we can advise them to say, sometimes it's not what you want to do. It's what the school you are applying to. If they offer you full scholarship, change that major to what they have, because you can now go do your master's somewhere else. You just need a foot in with that first degree. So don't be, don't have this fixed mindset that if I don't do this, I'm not going to. But if that school is costing tens of thousands a year, and you are offered a full ride, but this is the major they have, think about it, because we are all really interdisciplinary in nature.
That's true.
According to what we learn. But I particularly tell Africans that sometimes we have to be a bit practical and think about that first degree. However, you can go on in your second degree to go to get what it is you really wanted, but on the master's level, once you've done your first degree.
Okay. As far as people who want to come for postdoc, I know, like for instance, Ghana, they come a lot to UAB, especially in the optometry program.
Yes.
They come a lot for that. People from Nigeria come, people from Kenya come a lot. So, as far as going into the postdoc, any advice you have for people who want to just come in and go to higher education and stuff like that?
Like she mentioned, you have to do your research to make sure that you can actually, because by the time you get into the doctoral level, your area is already very narrow. So you have to actually make sure you match yourself. And a lot of the times, they are usually, fellowships available that most PhD students don't pay for. They could be assistant professors in doing different kind of things as a fellowship, and that's how they pay. So you need to do your research. But there's one thing I'd like to add to what she was saying in the last question, with other areas that they should look for. I would say they should also consider community colleges. Okay. Community colleges, they can do their first 2 years in community college.
Define that for them. What is a community college?
A community college is a place where you spend 2 years, okay, and two things can happen after 2 years. You can actually go to the workforce. They would train you while you're getting your education, and they usually have very good rapport with the industry. The industry actually fund a lot of their projects in there, and then they sponsor students even there. A lot of their students get hired even before the 2 years is up. So, but if you are interested in getting a 4-year degree, which has its own advantages too, after you finish your 2-year over here, you can transfer to a 4-year university and then get your bachelor's degree. So the first one, you finish with your associate degree, and then you take about 60 more hours, 2 more years, and then get your bachelor's degree. So usually that helps out a lot. It helps out a whole lot.
And also, if I may add to that, the tuition for community colleges
is cheaper. Yeah.
Way cheaper.
And some are actually free across the United States.
Like when I first came here, I started at Gadsden State Community College. So it's just a a way, like you said, to get your feet in.
Yes.
That's right.
You know, and if you want to go work after your first 2 years, one thing I know for sure, the trades, you know, like right now there's like this big push by the state of Alabama, you know, in all kind of technical field actually.
That's
Right.
right.
You
That's
know,
right.
and
Yeah.
they're pushing all the way
Yes.
to filmmaking, you
Yes.
know, how do you call it, those who soldier, you know, things, you know.
Welders
Well,
and
welding,
plumbers,
yes,
yes, and they make good money.
They get
very-
hired before they finish.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so okay, that's something also to
Yes,
consider.
I really think that's a good one.
Let me quickly add something to that.
Yeah.
You know, like way back when we used to look down on some majors, just what we just did in Africa, that if you're not a doctor, engineer, or something like that, they think you're wasting your time. Thank God it's changing, but it still has not changed to the extent that we need to. There are some areas, if you look at United States, for example, there are people who study plumbing, and they make more money than doctors.
Yeah, absolutely.
They schedule their own hours.
Yes.
They have people that work for them,
Yes.
and they have the qualifications, but they have others that work for them. They just sign off on them and get the contract. It's a real, and then you have those also in welding and some other areas, the electricity, and so there are it's not wise to look down on anything,
Especially trades.
especially trade.
Trades,
So,
that's it, that's it.
if you're bent on getting a bachelor's degree, after you finish your trade, you can start working and then get your bachelor's degree online. So you still go have your bachelor's and then you still have your own job.
Yes.
You know, so.
And I think sometimes the word we use in Africa would be your apprenticeship. This is what these 2 years colleges are like. But you get real hands-on experience,
That's true.
and you know how to do whatever it is that you are being taught. So that's a very good one for some people. If you're already in any of these areas, you may want to start there. I mean, in Africa, you've been an apprentice for, you've been a mechanic, you've been a welder, you've been a builder, a bricklayer. This is, I think, excellent.
Especially building, you know.
Builder.
Oh, yes.
They cannot have enough builders.
Exactly.
The men completely
So,
are
yes, and even building, so many aspects to building. So I really think that's something that we really need to encourage Africans.
to get into.
And then, like I said, you can still get your bachelor's degree, but get started.
Yeah, later. If you think about these college students who play professional, sports,
Yes.
that's a trade. You know,
Yes,
it's
yes.
like they in trade
Yes,
school.
That's right.
Then after they get their degrees, you know,
That's
after they
right.
make all the money.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, so thank you guys for sharing. You know, just is a discussion. You know, just chatting a little bit about. You know, but before we go, I would like for you guys to, you know, take a turn, you know, and tell us a little bit about, you know, because sometimes when you're talking to people, it's like you're lecturing at them or you have not gone through it. You know, if you can just give us a little bit of your, you know, your history here. You know, you are all doctors, you know, in your field. That means, you know, you are experts in your fields. And you know how you got here and the hope that you know nowadays I have you know cousins back home. They don't want to come to you know overseas, you know, so it does not matter where you are now. You're still gonna have to go through some tough times, you know, whether you're home or here. So if there are words that you can encourage our viewers, you know, the way you walk your walk and what they can go through, but persevere so that they can also succeed. Yes. So, Dr. Anthonia.
So again, like I tell people, is that first you need to have an idea what you want to do. Then you have to focus and be consistent in what you're doing, you know, in pursuing it. So some people will ask, what do you mean focus? You are in school, stay with it. and finish it. Wherever you start, finish it. Not you are here today and there tomorrow, and somehow you think in 5 years all this will come together. No, in most cases it doesn't. So have an idea, the plan. The plan can change, can be dynamic, yes. But for me, I knew I had a head start because I had a guardian. My late oldest brother was here. And that's who I came to stay with in America when I first came. And so he was there, and his wife, to really guide me that this is what you need to do. And I listened. So I listened. But after that, after a while, it became up to me. Do I want to go on and do my master's? Do I want to, what area? So education was one area I picked that, I would teach. And when I started teaching, I really focused. I studied the handbook. I studied everything about higher ed to understand it. Okay, so through that, I was able to go up through the ranks because I studied it. Nobody told me, you do this. I heard some people talking, and I took that handbook, whatever it is, and I studied it. So I really think that when we come, we have to focus in that way, but also have a network. The people you talk to make a difference. Let them be people who are informed, or people will tell you, oh, I don't have that answer, but here's where you may go to get it. So that's how I have walked through being here in the United States for 40-something years, just knowing that is one step at a time, but I needed to focus and also understand. Sometimes you don't really know what you want to do, but study it, again, do research, look at where it's going, understand to some extent where what you've chosen, where it can take you. It's very important.
Okay. Dr. Vidal?
Yes, I would say that as soon as you land in this country, start building up your network. You can start with the professors that came from the same background you came from, and then to maybe professors in your major that you're interested in, people that can actually bring something into your life, and then other students who are doing well, that come from it. So you have to make sure there are students that are actually doing well, that you're going to be asking for advice on how to do things. And also within the institution, there are organizations. For example, in your major, you may have, let's say your major is literature. There could be a literature society. Let's say and then there could be a honors literature society. Try to find out what it takes to become members of that type of society that has an impact on what you're trying to do. And then after you find out, become active member. If they are looking for volunteers for something, show up. If they run for positions to be able to contribute, because when the time comes, they send people for conferences and stuff to go represent. Your name will rise to the top, and you get usually all expenses paid to go there. Then you meet people at the national and international level in your field, and they may be somebody that say, hey, you know what, we have a master's program, we'd like to come, we pay everything for you. It's because you don't make the people that actually live in the industry by being there. So try to be willing to volunteer, and try not to spend all your time having partying. Try and focus, like she mentioned, focus on why you're here.
That's true.
Because you want to make sure there's going to be plenty of time for other things. Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you so much to Dr. Anthonia Adadevoh, to Dr. Vidal Adadevoh. They spent a lot of time with us today to talk to us about what it is that it takes to succeed, in your academic field as academicians themselves. So with that said, we will stop our activities for today. We will be having a guest who is from Ivory Coast, and he's also an academician, and he wrote a book specifically for international students on how to, come and study in the United States. So it's going to be the sequel, part 2, to this discussion on education. So we thank you for being with us, and until then, we will see you. There we are. So, thank you so much, Dr.
Thank you.